The former president of the United States, Donald Trump, the whiner, the sniveler, the professional, life is not fair for a white rich guy, former president. Imagine of all the groups in America, I'm getting to a point here. It's Donald Trump whining outside the courtroom just this morning with unhinged lies. But before I get there, let me do an aside here. I mean, you watch my content enough, you know that I tangent sometimes. I've talked about this before, but it never ceases to amaze me how someone derived from such privilege, Donald Trump, a ostensible, certainly a rich guy, but I don't know if he's a billionaire, but even a multimillionaire, he's worth hundreds of millions of dollars, how he can perceive of his life and existence and time on this planet as unfair or somehow not just luxuriating in privilege. He would have you believe that he is under assault and this is unfair. And he's whining outside the courtroom with his lawyer there, and he's got pages of printouts of articles and quotes from Fox News toadies while trying to convince the American people that he is being treated unfairly. Apparently, accountability for your serial criminality is unfair. The first one is just an outright lie about how he's being prohibited from campaigning. He can't even talk about politics, he says, coming off of a weekend where he had rallies and speeches in numerous places. Now, what's interesting about this clip is he's going to tell you what states he's not allowed to be in, and he says something very Trumpian. I was supposed to be in a very different state than this one. Not a different state. I was supposed to be somewhere else. It's a very different state. Not just regular different, very different. Watch this.
As you know, I was supposed to be in a very different state this morning, and the judge actually decided to call it early, and yet it looks like we're going to have a very big gap between days, and it's going to be determined right now in court. But we're here about an hour early today. I was supposed to be making a speech for political purposes. I'm not allowed to have anything to do with politics because I'm sitting in a very freezing cold courtroom for the last 4 weeks. It's very unfair.
Of course, whines about the temperature of the courtroom. Grow up or wear a sweater. Do that for me, Donald Trump. Secondly, I'm not allowed to have anything to do with politics. Who believes this nonsense? Who is bamboozled by this idiocy? Who listens to it and thinks, yeah, that's true. He's not allowed to have anything to do with politics. After having just spoke to the NRA, having just had political rally after political rally after political rally. He's a liar. It's freakish how much he lies. Which this next clip is him saying, well, yeah, I'm supposed to be in all these very different states. Very different states. And he mentions specifically Iowa and New Hampshire. Presumably, he's talking about being prevented from campaigning there for the primaries before he gets officially the nomination. But there's a problem with that we'll talk about.
I tell Iowa, I'm sorry, I won't be able to make it. I tell New Hampshire, sorry, I won't be able to make it. I'm sitting in an icebox all day.
Sorry, I won't be able to make it. I'm sitting in an icebox all day. The problem with that is that the Iowa caucuses and the New Hampshire primaries were months ago in January. Is he talking about campaigning against Joe Biden in May for the November election? That this is just a frantic, frenetic pace of campaigning that he's being prevented from being there. But then that begs the question of why would he want to even be there if he's, what did he say?
I'm not allowed to have anything to do with politics.
MAGA world, I mean, do they believe this? I was going to say they believe it, but I don't know that they do believe it. I think it doesn't matter whether they believe it. I think they'll repeat it knowing it's false, just that this is a team sport and they got to protect their guy, their team at all cost. It doesn't matter if he's a liar. It doesn't matter if he's a criminal. It doesn't matter if he shoots someone on Fifth Avenue. He won't lose a single voter. And they've ensured that to be the case. The next one is maybe the biggest lie of all, that there's not a civilian within 3 blocks of the courthouse, which is like Fort Knox, he says. Police, there's more police than I've ever seen anywhere, he says, preventing protesters, MAGA protesters, to come and support their guy. It is not true. There's footage, all kinds of footage just outside the courtroom where some people have showed up to show support. Now, we're only talking about a handful, a smattering of morons who are there to support Donald Trump with their flags and their costumes and everything else. But it's just another lie that Donald Trump tells to sell himself as a victim, as not a former president who has the power and stranglehold on dominance and alpha maleness. He's just a whiny little bitch who's afraid of a cold room. Watch this one.
And by the way, outside looks like it's supposed to be Fort Knox. There are more police than I've ever seen anywhere because they don't want to have anybody come down. There's not a civilian within 3 blocks of the courthouse.
Weird lie, not regular lie. That's just a weird lie. The other thing that this points to is that Donald Trump is, one, desperate and bothered that no MAGA people to speak of are showing up, but also he's encouraging people to show up. He would love for this to be an out-of-hand, raucous type of protest, the one like we saw on January 6, 2021. He would love nothing more than for that to be the case. The problem is he doesn't enjoy that kind of support in the city of New York or even in the Northeastern corridor. It's a problem for Donald Trump. The lies, one, people are stopping believing, and just two, it smacks of weakness and desperation and cowardice. This is their guy, Donald Trump. He's the guy who's being so unfairly treated in this cold icebox of a room. Maybe use some of that money to buy a sweater or I think I talked about this on a podcast recently. Get that guy a Snuggie. Get that guy the blanket. You could even make it a Trump slanket, a Trump Snuggie, emblazoned with his Rambo picture and all that. Just have him get cozy. Maybe drink some Rudy coffee. Since I just shockingly did that video. Anyway, I'd love to know what you think. Actually, it's good. Everything's good. Just had a thought that went away. Love and appreciate you. Want to hear from you on this. You can leave a comment below. That is fantastic. You can also leave me a voicemail, 714-576-4054. Of course, as always, you can email me daily at dollemore.com. Please consider supporting this work. It's not always talking about whiny, weak former presidents. Talk about other things. But if you want to help me make these videos, click the join button below. For $2 a month, you can become a channel member right here on YouTube. You can also go to patreon.com/IDoubtIt and help support the work there. I appreciate you very much. Follow me on the social media if that's your thing. If you're already there, I'm at Dollemore everywhere on Facebook, Twitter, and all of them. At Dollemore. I'd love to see you there. And I will see you next time. Until then, be genuine. Be genuine. Take care of one another.